see the...
I can.
Good evening, Connie Stapleton. Here you are. I am so excited to be talking to you tonight. Thank you for joining us for our big launch of our new emotional well-being ebook.
I can't tell you how amazing it is that you guys are even moving in this direction. And I got to tell you, you are getting the raw me. I scrambled in here about 5 minutes ago, fresh out of a 90-minute yoga class that was called Yoga Workout. And when I tell you it was a workout, I mean, it was a workout. Yes.
Well, I think this is all about emotional well-being, and I think there could be nothing better than Connie Stapleton going to a yoga class to kind of remind all of us, right, that it is about taking care of ourselves and that it is about being real and authentic. And here you are as your authentic self, chatting away this evening and talking about all good things about our well-being, because that's such an important part of our lives. And I think, wouldn't you agree that it's the thing we give short shrift to too often?
We get short shrift to ourselves. That's what most of us do, right? And you know, I've always kind of been an exerciser. I'm not a hardcore exerciser, but it's more for my mental health. Well, it's as much for my mental health as it is for my physical health. But I found yoga about 4 or 5 years ago, and it is absolutely the best exercise for me personally, because it just kind of works on the mind and the body, and I need it all.
I agree. And for a period of time, I haven't done it recently. I'd like to actually do it. We moved. You know how that is. You move, you get unplugged, then you have to get replugged in. But I did Qigong for a while. And it is, you know, the breathing, it is just incredible how you get so much more in tune with yourself just by breathing. And it's great to have, I mean, Qigong is a specific practice, but even just breathing in general is, you know, it reminds us how powerful that is. What a powerful tool it is for us in terms of getting centered, letting go of the yucky stuff, bringing in some of the good stuff, you know, getting cooled down. Maybe if we're emotional, you know, it's a powerful tool.
It really is.
Next time we're talking about powerful tools today. And so we're going to talk about our new emotional well-being. And we want to talk about you because it's really, you know, the wonderful thing about this ebook is it was a partnership with us, but it's really about all the work you've been doing. And it's featuring the wonderful Eat It Up book and workbook that you've done, and there's some nuggets of truth. You are such a truthful person. Then, you know, you bring us all forward with honesty. And I just kind of wanted to talk about, you know, why you became a psychologist and talk a little bit about it, if you don't mind, because I think it really is a good insight into what we're talking about in terms of emotional well-being tonight.
Well,
so can you tell us a little bit about you?
Yes. And I tell you what, and I think the thing that, you know, there are great psychologists everywhere. And I think the thing, I'm not a great psychologist in terms of, you know, being able to recall names of researchers, but I tell you what, I can connect with people, and it's because I have walked the walk, right? I got into psychology. I didn't go right to school for psychology. I was lucky to graduate at all with my undergraduate, and it had nothing to do with psychology. I guarantee you that. I drank my way through college. I come from a long line of addiction in my family. And food was my first addiction. And then I evolved into alcohol. And I've kind of jumped all over the board with it. But after I got married, after I graduated from college and had 3 kids, my addiction prevented me from connecting to my husband and my children the way that I wanted to be able to. And so I got into some therapy. And this was a really wise therapist. And he, over time, got me to go to treatment. Anyway, I didn't think I had any problem with alcohol or any kind of substances, but it was the greatest awakening. And it started an incredible journey that I never knew life could be so amazing. Yeah. So I went through the treatment program and then 3 to 4 years of individual, couples, family, group therapy. And then I decided I have to give back. I have to help other people find out that life can be amazing, because I was like just hiding from myself and hiding from life. I didn't want to feel anything.
Mhm.
So I was like, this is where I've got to go.
It's such a, I mean, it is a really powerful story because I think, when I think about starting Libliga, it was a very personal journey for me too. I've
Yeah.
struggled with weight all of my life, but I knew that we could make it better. I knew that we could, create something that would support us in the healthy lifestyle and healthy living. And that psychology is actually a really key part of it, because the psychology is being used on us every day. When we go into restaurants, when we're reading things, the colors, the way it's presented, all those things are working, but generally against us, right? I mean, it's encouraging us to eat more and buy more and, eat faster and
Mhm.
all those things. And I thought, clearly we can use this psychology for our benefit and kind of turn it upside down and do it so that it's actually supporting us in healthy living. So I really identify, as I always have. Of course, I admire you enormously, but I also identify with this idea of using our own lives and journey to help others because, we are a community. We absolutely live in a community and we all have different talents and interests and passions. And if we put them all together, we can just so conquer this world. I can't tell you.
Love that
Today,
attitude,
guys.
philosophy. You are right on, girl.
So how did you along this journey in terms of focusing on bariatric patients and and being in the bariatric community? How did that evolve?
I swear it was divine intervention, really, is all I can think, because I had I didn't know anything about bariatric surgery. I was working in the alcohol and drug community, but also in general psychology. And a letter came out. It was canvassed to all the psychologists in our area, and they were looking for somebody who had a background in psychology and a background in sales. Well,
Well, that's interesting.
before I ever went to treatment or therapy, I after I graduated, I worked in sales. I knocked on doors selling encyclopedias, which if you can do that,
You
you
could do
can do
anything.
it. Yes. So I responded to this and I interviewed with this guy, and he worked in a bariatric program in a community down the road, and he wanted to recruit somebody to kind of follow his footsteps. He had an addiction background and I had an addiction background. Oh, that's what they wanted, addiction and sales. And I'm like, well, I am totally your person. So the addiction piece fits perfectly. Not that everybody who struggles with weight has a food addiction, not at all. But the idea was that after somebody has weight loss surgery, their lives change in such dramatic ways that they can't begin to comprehend before they have the surgery. And so the addiction piece fit in because when people go through a treatment program, they have a very long aftercare period. And that's where they learn to adjust to the changes in living. So this guy knew that after weight loss surgery, people needed some help making adjustments to the numerous changes in their lives, relationships, body image, friendships, partnerships, everything changes. And so I thought, oh my gosh, the alcohol and drug world is saturated with people in my position who know what they're doing. But this bariatric surgery world was not. And I thought, I want to get in there and help people make that transition because I've been there. Different substance,
Right.
and again, I'm not absolutely not saying that everybody who struggles with weight has a food addiction. It's an enormously complicated disease, but there is psychology involved and there are changes, and people need help making those transitions. So I was like, this is home.
Right. So let's talk for a minute. I mean, this is kind of one of the reasons why we're focusing on emotional well-being and food. I mean, why are our emotions and food so tied up and
God.
gnarled up?
Oh my gosh, we need days.
Fair
You
enough.
know?
Fair enough. But let's do highlights here.
Yeah. Some people say it goes way back to birth, right? And if you're breastfed or even if you're bottle fed, food is nurture, right?
Yes,
Food
it
is
is.
comfort.
It
You're
is.
snuggled. So there's all of that. And then there's using food as a reward, and there's using food to celebrate. And there's all these societal things. And then there's a subset of people who use food as comfort,
Right.
emotional eating. And then there's another whole subset, which is
Hello.
food addiction, right? So I
Yep.
think the biggest thing for people are developing those emotional connections with food, and we develop a relationship with food. And so after people lose weight, whether it's medical weight loss or surgical weight loss, that relationship with food has to change.
Yep. It does, doesn't it? And that's, kind of why you have spent so much energy and time in kind of putting things together in a way that makes sense and guide people through steps. And I think that's why the gotta do'ems are just so speak to so many people, right? The fact that there are things we just really have to do every day to stay on track and help ourselves. And that's one of the things that we point out in the ebook that we're super psyched, gonna be able to download today.
I love it. Love
So
it.
we're excited about that. And the centers of balance. That's another thing. Can you talk a little bit about that for a minute in terms of
Yeah.
why they're so important to us?
Yeah. The centers of balance just mean weight. If you're overweight, it affects every single area of your life. It affects your physical health, obviously. It affects your emotional health, right? Because a lot of people really beat up on themselves and they give themselves a hard time. It affects your relationships with other people because, there's a lot of fat shaming externally, but
Mhm.
there's more fat shaming internally, which is really a huge problem. But there's difficulties at the job. There's difficulties in, it affects your work area, your hobbies. There may be things you can no longer participate in because of your weight. So the idea is excess weight negatively affects every area of your life, which are centers of balance. And we
Mhm.
want to live a balanced health life to be physically healthy, emotionally healthy, all those things. And then when you lose weight, everything shifts. It's like cutting a string off a mobile on a baby's crib and everything's all, cattywampus. And
Right.
so we have to do things to find balance again in each one of those areas. And people so often think it's just about changing your size.
Right. Yeah.
Not so much at all.
Oh, yeah. It's far more complicated. We're complicated, aren't we? We
Totally.
really are, and we keep changing. So we keep having to kind of adjust and kind of get back in tune
Mhm,
with ourselves and what's going on.
mhm. And one of the things you said earlier that I just wanted to talk about just briefly is, I'm going to give it to you straight. I don't know how to sugarcoat things. I don't know how to soften it. I don't know the easier, softer way. So I'm just going to tell you the way it is. And when you talk about the gotta do'ems, which are the behavioral things that a
Yeah.
person has to do, and
Mhm.
everybody who's ever lost weight knows what they are. You got to
Yeah.
make good portion sizes, which is where
Yeah.
Liga comes in. You've got to make healthy food choices. You've got to exercise. They're just things you've got to do. And I think a lot of
Diary, so important, isn't it?
times, people want to lose weight, but they don't want to do the things they have to do. And that's where the psychology comes in. It's like, how do you stay on track? Because most
Yeah.
people have lost weight before and they
Yeah.
engage in the gotta do'ems, but they get off of those healthy habits that they've started and they go back to the unhealthy ways. So the
Right.
psychology comes in. How do I stay focused? How do I stay on track?
Yeah. And we support each other in that. I mean, that's part of it, right? Is the getting the tools and the conversation, the community, so that we can help each other. Because one day I'm smoking it, but the next day I may need a little support and reminder about my centers of balance as well as my gotta do 'ems.
Yes.
So what excites you most about our project here in terms of our emotional well-being ebook?
I can't even tell you how exciting it is to me that a company that is doing what you're doing and making the positive impact that you're making that has nothing really to do with, well, it has a lot to do with psychology. And that's one of the
Oh,
big,
that's the thing, right?
yeah. Let me take that back, strike that from the record. Because when I met you guys,
You don't appear to. It doesn't appear to. It's
that's
like,
right.
dinnerware for Pete's sake, right? But
Yes.
yeah.
And when I talked to you guys and you shared with me all the psychology related to the construction of your dinnerware, I was like, get out of here. It gives me chills just talking about it, because people don't feel like they're being deprived when they use your dinnerware, right? And I use your dinnerware at all of my retreats, and it's just so brilliant. So you have a ton of psychology wrapped up in your product. But the fact that you provide dinnerware and you're like, we need to talk about the emotional stuff connected with this disease. It's like, get out of here. Who are you guys? Where did
we?
kind of thinking? I love you.
Walking the walk is really the point, right? It's because but you have to, again, we go back to the fact that we have to be willing to kind of look at ourselves, look at our needs,
totally
tend to ourselves, recognize that we need to create an environment that supports us. I think sometimes it's a fair amount of effort to do that. This is not for sissies, right? And we gotta, and it's the whole environment. It's not one thing,
it's one thing.
How we live our lives. And it's, I just was writing about, the fun things we can do seasonally, fall. I love fall, seasons, because, you have new vegetables, you have new activities. Like this time of year, we can go pick apples. We can go take a walk and see the change of the season with the beautiful trees, but these are things, whereas maybe we could also sit and watch a movie. Right. And it's not that a movie is not a good thing to do, because sometimes we just need to sit and do a movie. But when we're living a lifestyle where we want to be healthy, we got to get up there and do some fun things that have to do with the seasons and eat good foods. Like this time of year, there's so many yummy apple things we can do, or squash things. I mean, I have a yummy pumpkin squash. Actually, I have a 3 squash chili that is like to die for. That looks smashingly in a bowl, by the way. I'm just saying. I love
pumpkin anything. And you know what? Those bowls, everything does look beautiful in there. Really? And I just keep looking at the plates and going, did you see this quote? Did you see what this one says? I mean, how do you apply that to your life?
Our celebrate line is all about celebrating us and celebrating, savoring things, savoring the moment and savoring the bite and sipping in gratitude. And I do think that's one of the things is, I think I also want to highlight with emotional well-being and this ebook that we're launching together today is that, we really deserve it. I think the hardest thing for someone who's struggled with weight for so long and, and even made the huge commitment to themselves in terms of bariatric surgery is sometimes we don't feel we're worthy.
Absolutely.
And that we absolutely deserve every minute of our happiness and deserve every minute of planning and the effort that we put into making a healthy lifestyle for ourselves, even if we have to drag some people along with us. I think sometimes we feel like we're the ones that have to do the different thing and we're the different ones. Healthy lifestyle, we should be dragging everybody along with us, right?
Darn right. And that's what you and I are doing, for a matter of fact. Like, hey, get on board with this.
Yeah, this is good. So in terms of the ebook, what page or what thing can you highlight that you're just really pleased about or want to share with everybody that you want to make sure they all check out when they download the ebook?
Can I just say how beautiful it is? Physically,
all right, sure.
It is so aesthetically beautiful. It's calming. It's just beautiful. And I love the idea of ebooks. So, you get the points. You don't have to spend days reading.
Right.
You get the highlights. And you get to do it in this book by looking at something absolutely gloriously beautiful. And you hit the highlights. And my favorite part of this book, from my psychological standpoint, is the first chapter, right after the intro, because you're talking about, what's the connection between, your mental health, your emotional health, and weight loss. And I think that, honestly, it's, to me, the most overlooked piece. And the fact that you're sharing this with people through this ebook is so brilliant, because if people can make that connection, they can approach this. They have to continue, of course, to do the healthy portions, of course, to do the gotta do's, but they can add this missing piece and maybe go, aha.
Uh-huh.
You touched on it when you said a lot of people don't feel like they deserve it. And that's
Yeah.
the emotional piece that I want to really stress to people is if you don't heal that piece of you that says, I don't deserve this, it's going to be real hard to stick with the gotta do-ums.
Right.
So that is a gift that you are providing to people in this ebook. It's easy to read, it's beautiful to look at, and it really highlights the importance of all areas of your life. And I appreciate it more than I can tell you.
Oh, wonderful. I also, to me, one of the things that I love too about the ebook are the barrier busters, because I think sometimes we don't even realize that we have a barrier, that, that somehow we've created a limit for ourselves that we kind of have to break down in order to succeed. And so I think we had a lot of fun putting those barrier busters in the ebook, kind of reminding ourselves that, like you laughed hysterically when we were going over before about, it's my mother's fault. I mean, we all want to blame somebody, right? And truthfully, it may have started there. I mean, there are lots of issues there. I don't want to say it isn't, but
there are lots of issues there.
And we got to put that in perspective, perhaps when we can own our lives and move forward. But we all have those, right? We all have those barriers of why maybe we can't do it today or can't do it tomorrow or aren't able to face it. And we need to bust those barriers.
That's right. And the book is playful. There's a lot of serious material in there.
Yeah,
I did. I laughed hysterically. I'm like, oh my God, yes. It's fun. It's playful.
It's not that it's not a serious thing, but just the idea of how the truism of it, right?
Yes. It's chock full of the most important things. And I love the organization of it because there's barrier busters in each one of the chapters. And it's like, whoa, tools. Oh, I can do that. Oh, this fits perfectly with my life.
Yes.
Really
exactly.
applicable. Very applicable.
So I want to ask that nobody may have any questions, but since you're on board here, we just, love to take the opportunity. If anybody had a question that they wanted to ask you, is there anybody there that would like to ask a question right now to Connie that we can address here in our little interview? We'll wait a second here and see if somebody has something that I know people are saying hi, which we're delighted you're on board, and thank you for joining us.
Absolutely.
And we always appreciate the live audience and live interaction, even though we know people can see this later when maybe they have the time. It's always hard.
I have a question.
Okay, so losing weight, do you want me to make a question out of that?
Yeah, you can.
Yeah, so Carrie said, thanks for this. This is very interesting. Losing weight was one of the hardest things I have ever done. And having a healthy relationship with food when can you help me? Yeah. Oh, haven't before was the hardest change. So I think that's kind of a truism that Carrie is sharing, that we all have. It's, it is the hardest thing we've ever done, and creating a healthy relationship. Any advice there, Connie, or any comments you might have?
Absolutely. I encourage everybody to sit down and write a letter to food as though you were writing to a human being and say, you know what, these are the problems in our relationship. These are the problems that I'm experiencing because of our relationship. And these are the things that I would like changed. And this is the role I'm going to take in making these changes. I mean, clearly food's not going to take the responsibility to make these changes, right? But it's really powerful because people learn so much about themselves and about what food has meant to them. And it's a good place to start by going, you know what? I don't need food as a friend.
Right.
I can find healthier ways to make friends.
Yeah, that's a really good point. And it's pretty inanimate. Not a true friend.
It's not a true friend, but it's amazing how people will turn to food, and
I believe me, I'm one of them.
I'm lonely, so here's my friend. Or, I'm bored. Oh, here's my friend.
Or
Or I
there's
hate my
but
mother.
I'm gonna keep swallowing it. Gonna keep swallowing it.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm pretty guilty of all of those. It's different stages of my life. I think I get so creating a healthy relationship is so key and
Yes.
what you want out of life. So
Yes.
that's what we're doing with this emotional well-being ebook is kind of reminding ourselves, particularly, this month focuses on mental health. And as we're heading towards the holidays, I think we wanted to remind people that we really, it's just like with the life jackets or when we're in the airplanes and they tell us that we're supposed to put those masks on first for ourselves and then help others. And I sort of feel like our relationship with food is the same way. We really need to start with ourselves in order to really help everybody else and the people that we love. My favorite phrase, and you probably have used this, but the greatest gift we can give ourselves and the ones we love is the gift of health.
Absolutely.
And it starts with food.
Yep.
And so I think it was a passion of mine to work with you. I mean, this was a true dream come true to be able to do this with you and to provide this ebook of emotional well-being. We have a big long title to it, which is emotional barriers to sustained weight loss success, facing our fears, mindset, and addictions. And I think, all those pieces fit together to allow us to kind of live authentically as our real selves, whether we've just been to yoga or just come home from work, but picked up a puppy dog the day before. I mean, we're all living very real lives, aren't we?
I have a question.
Yes.
How do people get the ebook?
How do people get the ebook? So hopefully we have the address that we've shared on this Facebook Live. And we also have it on our website. On the front page, you can get it there and download it. And we also have a blog that we launched today. So you can get it kind of on all of our different platforms.
Good.
And we hope we do that, everybody, because it is free and downloadable. And we're really proud of that. All of our ebooks have always been free and downloadable. And we've always done them with great partnerships, like with Connie Stapleton, Ph.D., for which we were very proud and honored. And so this is our 10th. Isn't that kind of propitious?
It's amazing.
It's our 10th ebook that we're launching today. And we hope people will take advantage of this and use it as a good tool as we head towards the holidays and maybe some of the big triggers in our lives. And just remind ourselves that we're worthy of taking time for ourselves and keeping focused and with a healthy mindset.
You're going to have a whole set of encyclopedia ebooks pretty soon, says the encyclopedia.
We're a library here, aren't we?
I love it. And so everybody needs to share. Share.
Absolutely.
So other people can get their hands on all 10 of these
groups. And we hope they do. And make it a discussion point in terms of talking about all the words of wisdom that we hopefully have shared with them, or touch points that really make sense to them, and those barrier busters that we gotta bust out of.
That's right.
So, well, thank you for joining us tonight, everyone, and especially thanks to Connie Stapleton and her talents and expertise that we're sharing through our new ebook. And again, the link is already posted on our Facebook Live and can also be accessed through our website and blog. And I suspect we'll be enjoying some more connection points as we continue to talk to people about their mental health and well-being, and making good use of our healthy lives and our lifestyle for our enjoyment and making the most of our world. So thank you. I guess we'll say good night, everybody. And thank you, and Connie, thanks. We'll be connecting back with you again. And
thank you so much. Thanks to you. I appreciate it.
Bye-bye.
Take care.
Who is making that noise?